Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with a weekly news and review for March 7th, 2021. We have some new reveals this week. We actually have updates on old projects that have been abandoned, and we have a lot of other news in the middle. We're going to talk about all this coming up. First off, I want to talk about a few things I'm seeing at Show Z, and there's 3 of these Mo Show 1/72nd progenitor. These figures, they'll have some more names to it and stuff, but from what I understand, they're high quality, high end, just like the Mix Show that I actually did a review on. They look really good. If you're in on this style and this type of non-transforming figure with high level of articulation, then this is for you. Next thing I'm seeing at Show Z is the Zeta Toys Dark Side Superitron. It is a Superion, and it's the ZB08. This is cool. This is impressive, and it gets into our first masterpiece topic. So this thing's going to be recolored. They're putting it out. I'm expecting it should cost about $400, but it is $5 down and all that stuff for the whole set. And I do like how they sell them in the whole set. Now, here they are, each individual character, recolored, and I think they look okay. The different color, you kind of don't notice where the bot is the worst mode. The individual bot's the worst mode. I think the very best mode is combined, and then the jets look okay. And I do think the jets look okay in this paint scheme. That's kind of a cool looking set, and it's coming out in early October of 2021. So next up, we have big news about an abandoned project getting reignited from X-Transbots, and they are going to make their Galvatron theoretically. But this is the furthest along we've seen any pictures, and it's super hint shots. We're not getting to see all of it. We're not going to see everything that's going on with it. But we can do this. We can put it side by side with the old prototype pictures, or these are just the CAD designs, but right next to it, and you can see that it does look a lot like it, so we can kind of expect it to look like this. I wonder if they changed anything or a lot in the design from way back when they first showed us these shots and what they're doing now. They also say they're only going to have a premium option, meaning it's going to be $200 plus in the price zone, and there's actually no release date. This is just like a hit. It's like a teaser, and it's kind of exciting. So there is a 3D printer. I guess it's just someone who made it 3D printed, but they're putting out a set that works with your Transform Element Speedstar, and it works with the existing hardware in his shoulder cannon to beef that cannon up. And when you beef that cannon up with all this extra hardware, you can actually put in like a smoke effect. So there is the additional smoke effect that you would kind of incorporate into the whole thing. So it's kind of cool. These little add-on kits for Masterpiece, they're kind of interesting. They can add to your display. Again, some people are take it and love it, and some people are leave it. So we do have some kind of obscure news. Now, I don't know if this is going to be Masterpiece scale or not, but it's Craft Series CS02 Dark Owl, and it's a pretty interesting transforming robot. Now, it's not really based on any lore that I know, and I think it looks pretty interesting. In fact, it does have a really nice helicopter mode. I don't know a lot about this, but I'm guessing we're going to hear and see more on this project and more on Craft Series coming up. So TMT04, the TLK Optimus Prime. This looks like it's based off the Dark Knight version of Optimus Prime, and we've seen this before. This is nothing new, and I think it's like Transformers movie, Transformers or something like that. But this is a big bot, and it's going to be huge, it's going to be massive, it's going to be big, and I just really don't see a whole lot of the Last Night types of Optimus Primes out there, so it's kind of they're doing something a little bit different than most of the others. I think the draw or the appeal to this thing is that it has this alt mode that looks like something you're going to see on the road today more than a cab over design from a G1 Optimus Prime. So I do see that with a lot of the comments from Friday's video. This is one of the things, real world alt modes, and what you actually see on the road versus a cartoony alt mode, or a cab over design is not very common, especially here in the US. So this kind of makes sense, and it being a draw for the figure, and it does look really good in this mode. So KFC Toys is putting out their test shots of their Rajin trailer. I'm sure I said that wrong. But the Power Master Optimus Prime, I'm surprised about just the paint of it. Maybe it's not going to be this shiny and bling, but pretty interesting. It's got the base. Now that's the thing. This had a base mode back in the day, and that is a big part of the toy. And I'm pretty sure getting it into this base mode is way simpler than putting the X-Transbots Minosaur into that base mode. And this base mode is something that people are expecting to display it. I mean, I bet you a lot of people are going to display it like this. So Josiah Toys is the company that made a Megatron, or they're in the process of making a Megatron. It's kind of a G2 Megatron with a G1 Megatron transforming into it. Anyway, they're making Targetmasters here, and this Targetmaster basically looks like you flip it in half, fold it in half, and you've got the bot mode, you fold it back in half, and you've got the gun mode. So it's a really simple transformation, and it does look pretty interesting. Looks pretty good. And again, which of the Targetmasters is this? And are they going to go and do all of them? Are they going to match up to the tune? Because this looks like just sort of generic Targetmaster. So, kind of a light week on Masterpiece news, but I really think Magic Square is stepping it up in the game of news and reveals this week for the Legend scale. This Devastator looks good, and it's just out of the blue. Hey, here comes a Devastator. Here he is, and looking like he's almost ready to go. So this is a very nice G1-esque version of Devastator. And not only did they put out pictures of him just like this, they also showed individually Mixmaster. For whatever reason, Mixmaster's the one we get first in all the Almo. Now you can kind of see, like the inside of the thigh, or not thigh, the lower leg, is kind of open right there. So, I mean, there's of course the things that we're going to give the passes on, but I don't think people are buying these so much for the individual bot modes. I'm sure the combined mode is what everybody wants to be perfect, which it looks pretty darn close. And then here we are with just kind of different angles and the different modes of Mixmaster. It looks good. I think the paint looks good. Is that just plastic? Is there some paint to it? And will they eventually come out with an EX version that's really bling, highly painted? Or for this character, is that even something you'd want? We interrupt the Magic Square news. New Age has a Devastator they're putting out. For the first time ever, New Age putting out a Devastator at the exact same time that Magic Square announces it. You just can't write this comedy. It's just bad comedy. But it looks good. Like, I think both options look good. And we will do side-by-sides here in a second. But just looking at this one only by itself, it looks good. They know how to design a figure. And they know how to make it look super G1, super tuned. The Mixmaster, for some reason, seems like it's just got like flaps hanging out right around the mixing barrel. That seems a little weird, a little odd. But aside from that, I think everything on this looks really good. Now for our first comparison shot here, we're going to compare these two to the tune, thanks to Cheeb for lining all this up and showing what's going on. Now, in typical fashion, Magic Square on the right is always a bit stockier and bigger and beefier, and so that's just kind of how they design all of their figures. And if you look to the left, New Age is a slimmer, sleeker, and a little bit brighter of a color. So if you look at this, maybe the New Age is closer to the tune, but again, it's your preference. What do you like the most? Which one do you want in your collection? I think they both look great. I don't think you could go wrong with either option, but let's do one more comparison. So I'm just surprised we haven't seen tons of pictures set up like this to match this. And here it is next to DX9's Hulky. So Hulky in the middle, and then Magic Square on the right, and then New Age on the left. And so I have the Hulky. I knew when I got it, I was like, this just doesn't look like the best Devastator in the world, but it's something, so I've got it. But looking at these other two, they blow it out of the water, either one. So maybe people will be catching some discount Hulkies when these come out. That's a possibility. But still, I mean, you look at all of this right here, we're getting into a next generation, a step into the future, and the future of next level engineering in the Legends game. So we got a few things going on in the mainline this week, and a lot of it is with the upgrade kit here, this D&A DK14K. Now, they have made several different versions of this, and we're about to show and get into that, but I'm starting to think these are exactly the same. I don't know for sure, but I think they're exactly the same design-wise and just painted different. So, looking over at BBTS, you see 3 different upgrade kits here. The DK14, DK14N, DK14K, and they're all priced different. As cheap as $20, as much as $29.99, so as much as $30. So different pricing levels here for different paint apps and paint levels. But are they interchangeable? Can you swap them? I don't know this. So if I was you, just order the exact kit you need for your figure, and you should be good. Now, the biggest thing in this kit is getting the extra height out of your Ultra Magnus here. And I think that this is really a big improvement. In this mode, not so much. I mean, it doesn't look that much better, that much greater. But when you get him in his full-on armored mode, I think it does look a lot better. It looks a lot better because it's more proportioned. If you look at the lower legs, they're just big, giant, stocky. You give them a little bit of height, and with that height, you kind of make it look right. So the height makes it look right. And could it be a little taller? Yeah, I guess it could be a little bit taller. But I think this makes the masterpiece, not the masterpiece, but the leader class version a whole lot better. And it still could transform with the kit on. I believe it's set to where you can transform with the kit on. And I think that's why they show this picture. But there you go. So we got a really grainy picture of Hasbro's Kingdom Rodimus, and I'm hearing that this thing is actually supposed to be Commander class, if that's right. So that's interesting. Going to be out in August of 2021, and we don't see the trailer. It's supposed to have a trailer, which is why it's Commander class, I think. I don't know. It should have been a leader, in my opinion, but you know, that's just my opinion. And here it is. The Hot Rod sort of blew everyone away. Everyone loves Hot Rod, and I do like Hot Rod. Will this do the same? Will this have the same effect? Will this be as good? Who knows? So we got some information about Stan Bush and a couple new songs, and I guess his new album, Dare to Dream. The Heat of Attack is one of his, and True Believer is another song. I gotta say, you know, he's pretty talented. I just don't know why I haven't heard much of him other than the 1986 movie and what he's doing now, still associated with Transformers. Maybe it's just me, but I think he's a really good artist, and whatever songs he makes, they sound great. They sound super 80s, so maybe that's why I like him so much. And another story floating around out there is a sell of the Optimus Prime truck from the Bumblebee movie a few years ago. 2 years ago? Was it 2 years? Anyhow, the price on it, $21,600, I thought was a bit low. So I don't know if that's a good price, the going rate. It does look like it's a bit in rough shape, so I don't know a whole lot about that either. But it's kind of interesting that, you know, somebody can have this and they can actually buy this and drive around their own Optimus Prime. Before we get into the Star Wars stuff, there's a couple of interesting things I saw out there, but I don't ever really talk about horror figures. I'm not into that myself, but I saw this random creep show, and it reminded me of Tales from the Crypt, and I'm wondering, is NECA going this direction and making Tales from the Crypt figures? And I could see them doing that because the Tales from the Crypt actually isn't really himself a scary character. He's actually comic relief, and it's kind of a funny setup that he's always looking like he's doing something normal, sort of, but he's still kind of creepy in a way, and it's always kind of a joke. So I wonder if they're going to go that route, and I bet they do. Now, NECA's Defenders of the Earth, I actually saw these in a Walmart last week, and I considered picking them up, but I decided against it. And I was like, well, $30 each, and I don't know a whole lot about them. I'm kind of glad I passed because of the fact that I'm hearing that these are breaking very easily. And I know NECA has had a history of issues and breakage, but I just opened one of the Back to the Future figures, and I've done a lot of stuff with him. No breakage, and I didn't boil him or anything. I didn't have to heat him up, so he worked fine. So I don't know. Is it mileage may vary, or are people kind of rough with their stuff? But again, I'm seeing the breakages firsthand, and it's kind of scary. And the last oddball thing before we get into Star Wars is this Target exclusive Rise of Evil Dark Origins of two Eternia's evil warriors. And this is kind of like the history of these two characters. Skeletor before he was Skeletor, I guess, and then the Cronus before he was that one dude. Anyway, it's interesting how you have to get like a tune head, or I guess a toy head, an original type of head for Skeletor or He-Man. You got to buy an extra deluxe, and they're Target exclusives, and they're almost non-existent. Target exclusive means non-existent on the shelf and sold out immediately. It was either 12 or 15 seconds, I don't know, and then it sold out. So it's one of those things. It's gonna be hard to track down. So it's another light week of Star Wars news, of course, but looking at this, the Hot Toys Bo-Katan looks really good. Looks exactly lifelike, especially when she takes her helmet off. And this is a very nice looking figure, and I think everything that Hot Toys does looks nice. It looks realistic. It looks almost perfect, and of course that's why they command nearly $300 for every figure, and people pay it because they look so good. Again, this is the 12-inch scale, and it blows away pretty much anything else that's 12-inch out there, and highly posable, articulated, and this thing it's really cool. It looks nice, and of course the Mandalorian and the success of the Mandalorian, it just makes sense that they're going this route. How long till it actually comes out? Like another year or something, but it's still pretty cool. So another couple of rumors coming from Yak Face. You know I like rumors, but they're rumors. Of Gaming Greats Black Series 6-inch Jump Trooper, and this thing looks like it'd be pretty good if that picture matches it at all. But again, we've had a couple of Jump Troopers in the past. I'm sure it's just going to be a redeco of what we've already gotten, but again, still kind of cool, and adding to the troops, it's an option. We also have the Cal Kestis that's supposed to be coming out, and it shows the Jump Trooper in the back, which is why people are all talking about the Jump Trooper. But I'm wondering, what about Starkiller? Now, I've been hearing rumors about Starkiller, but I can't actually find a legitimate source to back that up. So it's still, in my opinion, hope and a prayer and a wish. But where's Starkiller? In Gaming Greats line, it just makes sense to make Starkiller. And lastly, our friends at Bantha Skull are pushing the whole "we need to complete the 96" narrative. And I agree with that. The thing is, will Hasbro stick with the Vintage Collection line long enough? It seems like the Vintage Collection line is few and far between, and they're reissuing really poor choice characters, and they're really not targeting the first 96. The 96 figures made by Kenner back in the day that propelled Star Wars to be the juggernaut that it is. And yet we can't put that together in the modern line, and we can't put it together the way we want to with the correct hardbacks and all that. Again, it may never happen, but it's something that fans want. Will they give it to us? I hope so. So let me know what you think about this week's weekly news and review. What other great stuff is going on out there? What other interesting items did I miss? So I'd like to know. Fill me in. Like, subscribe to Deer Hanger out.